Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations Effects Tutorials, Demos, and Review. Today, we're pretty much going through what are IRs, how do you use them, what are some of the times where it'd be best for you to use an IR versus using a real cabinet and miking it. So basically, in order to understand this, let's switch views a little bit. Okay, so these are my amp wall here. So what you're looking at is a bunch of different cabinets, but in particular this Jens Benz cabinet right here with the 212s, with the um, it's mic'd up with an Audix D6 and the SM57, right? So an IR is pretty much the way this cabinet sounds mic'd up with those mics. That in this case, let's go with the first one, the Audix D6 in this particular room. So it captures the essence of the room a little bit, and it captures, depending on how far back you have it from the cabinet and things like that. But then it also, captures the way those actual speakers sound. And depending on where you place it, it has a slightly different sound to it. Or not even slightly, it can drastically change the sound. But what an IR does is it allows you to have that sound and take it anywhere, basically have that sound as a file. And in this case, I have it on my Zoom B6 here. I have all my custom IRs loaded up here, which will be available to you guys this week. Especially of this cabinet, you'll have the Jens Benz cabinet and the Gallon Cougar cabinet this week. And we'll just be releasing them, dripping them out there. But, so, which one was the actual IR and which one was the cabinet? Did you hear a difference between the two different sounds? And at the end there was my bass sound from just the preamp and the compressors that's feeding into the amps. But I'm running directly into the return of the Mark Bass amp there, running into the Jens Benz cabinet. So I'm not using the Mark Bass preamp. I'm using actually the Ampeg SGT as the actual preamp for all this. And then I'm running that into an Atlas for light compression and tone, and then I'm actually running that into an Empress compressor on out to the cabinet and all that stuff. So I'm bypassing the amps cabinet. So in a nutshell, the IRs are going to be pretty much the way that mic sounds on that cabinet in this room in that exact position. So, it allows someone like myself who would like to take their sounds with them and not have to lug around the cabinet per se. Say the venue has a lot of audio equipment and things like that. They got a big PA system. I don't necessarily have to bring my cabinets. I can bring that sound because we all know as bass players, our cabinets and our preamps are part of our sound. Like one of the things I hated about going direct and was it doesn't sound like my bass. I never really played my bass direct. I always played it through an amp because that's how like I shape my tone in general through an amp and through speakers. Particularly, my most gig amp would probably be this Ampeg SGT. I mean, it's Ampeg BA series head and cabinet, which I can both, have a model of both of those things and take them with me thanks to the Tone X1. And, I can load up IRs with the heads and things like that. So pretty much what this is allowing me to do is to take something like this little small Tone X1 or a Zoom B6 or an Ampeg SGT DI and actually take that cabinet and put that sound of that cabinet the way I like it to sound, I'm used to it sounding in my room. And, this room is pretty, if you just look around a little bit, let's switch back. It has a lot of sound treatment to it, so it sounds very nice in this room. Um, so here's the bass, dry. I mean, not dry, but with the just the preamp and compressors. No, is that correct? No, that is not correct. This is actually my bass without all that on it, right? Which is a nice sound. Right? Nothing wrong with that sound there. But it's like it's missing the weight of a cabinet. Like I don't know if that translates to you all if you're not wearing headphones or things like that. You got to put on headphones for this one to really hear it. And or if you got like a sound like a sound bar and woofer or something you can listen to it, that'd be great too. So that's my dry bass sound. Here is the actual cabinet. Let me turn this up. Right, so that's the actual cabinet mic'd up with the Audix. Oh, ooh. That one, right? Sheesh. Just knocked my camera all down. Bam. It's not quite the exact view, but let me straighten this back out for you guys. But yeah, I don't know how I just did that. That was awful. But ended up with a slightly better view anyway. Let's go. And we just move this. But yeah. So it's the sound of that. That's the sound of the cabinet in this room. Usually I would have this door shut, but my door is not shut, so it does let a little bit of ambience of the other space in the house into the mic. But for the most part, that's exactly what it sounds like in this room. Right, so that's the actual cabinet, this is the IR. So, and I know, yes, the IR does have sounds a little bit more polished, and that's because I ran that IR through the color box, EQ'd it, added some of that saturation on it, some of that 1073 type saturation onto it, and it gives it that nice warm, rounder bottom to it like that. So it's trust me, when you run them, the flat ones, I also did some flat ones, but I didn't load them onto the B6 because this is like my gig setup. But, so I need that rounder, more polished sound on there. And it'll sound like that every single time. So the hard part with the, like actually miking cabinets and things like that is once that mic moves, it's going to sound completely different. And sometimes it's really difficult to get back to that exact same sound. And when you're recording, say like um you have somebody come, or you're doing a recording at a studio or something, right? And then you need to come back in and fix a part or lay another part down, or you changed your mind about a specific part. Now you can actually just go back, lay down the track anywhere. Like just send them the track with just your preamp tone on there and your compressors or whatever it is, and they can run that through the IR that they may have created or you may have created, and that makes your life a lot easier. So having this just lying around, let's do a comparison once again. So this is the polished IR. Versus the room, the actual mic and cabinet. And just so we're fair, because that is my gig setup, I did slightly forget that on my IR. So I'm gonna change that to 100% on that IR, and then I'm going to match them. Let me see. All right, so that's just the Audix D6 by itself. IR. Here's the actual cabinet. I gotta find a way to stop bumping these cameras. So many wires and stuff, and I have to reach all over the place. So I'm sorry sometimes if I bump the cameras. It's just I have to reach around a lot of stuff. I'm trying to bow. But here is the actual cabinet. And here is the impulse response. So they sound pretty much the same. The IR one, of course, has the advantage of having the extra EQ on it and stuff, to make it sound a lot more polished. But I like the way the Audix D6 sounds. Just in general, I think it's a great mic for bass cabinets. It gives you that nice bigger bottom to it, but it also gives you a nice top end. So, without overly scooping it like some cheaper mics do, but it gives you a very nice sound. But if you don't want to have to buy the mic and the cabinet and all that stuff, these IRs that I have are going to be available to you. And the cool thing about the IR are you can always mix in some of your dry signal or your preamp signal. So something you have to run two separate lines to do with a cabinet, something that is going to take you it's an extra step for an engineer or a sound tech. So they would have to mic the cabinet, then they would have to run a line out from the head to the board. So they got to run two lines for that. With the IRs, typically you can, if you have something like a Zoom B6, you'll have the ability to EQ it, you'll have the ability to, if you need additional compression or other effects you want to add in there, if you want to balance it, if you want to invert it and balance that with your preamp signal or your dry signal, you got all these different options. So same thing with like the Line 6 HX Stomp. I think that allows you to upload IRs as well. But check this. So I can take, right now that was on 100%. I'm going to take it down to just 10% with the IR and let the rest of that be the preamp signal. Basically everything, the preamp, the SDT, the Atlas. I'm going to take the Atlas out the equation real quick. Matter of fact, let's just get a read on where my bass is without anything on it real quick. All right, so now we're going to add the actual IR, but we're only using about 10% of that. Let's say 11%. Got it set to 11%. And let's go. So you get that nice cabinet sound and you still get your nice preamp sound in there, and you get a chance to mix the two, you know what I'm saying, on your own and get the exact, sound that you want to be going into the house, and they can mix it further from there, whatever they would like to do, cut some of the lows, increase some of the upper mids, or whatever they need for the system. But you get the sound at least that you want to your ears, if you're using in-ears or headphones instead of the amps and things like that. The IRs are very useful for that. I know a lot of churches and things like that are now moving towards not having amps and things like that. So these IRs, look how much body that gives you. Without it, right? Nice sound, but you put that gives you a full, sound where, mind you, that sound's also going to the house, so it's going to give it some heavy activity in the subs as well. So that's always a bonus, you feel me? You got to get the subs in there, subs activated, because you playing bass, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can lay a nice foundation with that. So comparing that to the actual rig, it's gonna, that's gonna sound a lot more polished. So let's see the actual rig one more time. So, you know, pretty much with the IRs, which, by the way, hit subscribe, like, and share. I definitely appreciate y'all hanging out with me. But if this helps you out, feel free to help me out in the Cash App or Super Thanks. But I appreciate y'all hanging with me otherwise. But, yeah, compared to just the raw one, which is just the mic on the cabinet, still in the same room, I would say that the IRs definitely are way more just a polished sound, and it's going to give you the preamp sound, and well, what you were hearing was the preamp sound, so the actual SGT sound with the cabinet, primarily the preamp sound with 11% of the cabinet in there, so something like that to the house. If you have a Zoom B6, you just run an XLR out of here into wherever. They don't even need a DI box, right? So that gives them all the, that gives them your entire sound versus I feel like a lot of times when I'm going direct, they're not getting my entire sound without the IRs on. With the IRs, like my in-ears feel better. Everything just feels way better. It feels like I have a cabinet and I don't feel like I'm missing a huge part of my sound, which is the way my bass sounds coming through a preamp and a compressor and EQ and into an amp inside of an actual space. Because it's not like we're used to hearing, what I'm saying, the bass cabinets right here, like right up. We're used to hearing them inside of a room. So I like my IRs actually to be like, probably about, I do 1 inch and from the front of the grill, and I do 5 inches from the front of the grill of the speaker cabinet. And I do the 5 inch one because I want, one, it gives me a little less bass and allows the other frequencies to be allows it to be a little flatter with something like a D6, because D6 has a lot of body on the bottom. But it also allows me to capture a good amount of the room in there in that IR when I was capturing them. So in the collection, you'll have IRs with the microphones in the dead center for 1 and 5 inches, and then you'll have it in the middle between the center and the cone, the edge of the cone, and 1 and 5 inches. So, that's going to give you pretty much for every speaker, it's going to give you like 4 options per speaker. Plus, I did the same thing for the tweeters. So you'll have the tweeter IRs. You can actually mix these things when you're recording. You're using them in your recordings, either DAW software, or if you have a Zoom B6, I'm also going to have some of these pre-combined for you all. Some of my favorite things like a Audix D6 and a SM57. So if I was going to do Audix, I would do it like this. Let me see. So, stand. So I would put the D6 on the cabinet, on the speaker rather, and the SM57 on the tweeter, and that'll give you a balance. And I actually have the SM57 hooked up, so let me move it for you guys. Hold on. Well, let's do this first, because I just thought about it. I already got it in position for you guys to hear the difference between the SM57 IR and the actual SM57 on that cabinet, right? So let's do that real quick, and then we'll come, and then I'll move the mic to the tweeter, and we can do a comparison between the IR that has both of those on it. So some of my IRs are the Audix D6 and the SM57 together as well on one IR. So let's go. So let's change this. I just love the flexibility of having all these IRs available. Just change. You could just literally change IR on your whatever device you're using. The SGT allows you to load up to 3 custom ones, but the Tonix allows you to do. You can have 20 different IRs built into your presets. So 20 presets, so it allows you 20 IRs essentially. And you could turn those on and off depending on where you're running them. And the Zoom B6 allows you like a ton of these joints. You get a good amount. You got plenty of space on here. I would say anywhere from 50 to 60 slots for IRs on the Zoom B6. Might be more than that. But anyway, here's the SM57 IR, and we'll compare that to the actual room, right? Let's go. This one. And the actual SM57. So, and again, my IRs are already EQ'd and ran through saturation, from the color box V2, JHS color box. So you're kind of getting multiple sounds when you getting my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you're getting not just the sound of that Audix D6, not just the sound of the cabinet, but you're also getting the sound of pretty much a Neve 1073 or something. I wouldn't even say it's exactly that, but it's very close to it. JHS Color Box V2 is a pricier preamp, so you combine that with the mic and the cabinet, and just getting the IR is just going to be a lot cheaper for you. So another use for IRs is you can get a ton of different cabinet sounds without ever buying the cabinet or buying a mic or knowing how to mic up a mic or sound treating a room or, you know what I'm saying, doing it over and over again, because I had to, in order to get these IRs correct and get them to sound nice and crisp like that, I had to do those IRs a bunch of different times and get them exactly where I wanted them to go. In your regular preamp sound, like, so I'm gonna drop this down to 10% again. That was 100% on the cabinet. And let's do this. And this is at 16% on the cabinet. And the rest of that is the Ampeg SGT and the Empress compressor. Right? So that gives you that versus without it. So it just gives it so much more body when you can mix in that cabinet verse when you can't. Like you can still hear that preamp sound is the primary sound, but when you just, it's like you just added the whole bottom back to your bass when you're using headphones or not running the actual cabinet, because normally, like I said, you would have to run 2 lines to the console to get that sound of the cabinet and the actual mic'd up cabinet and your dry sound from, or the sound from your preamp. So I would need 2 XLRs, basically. 1 XLR coming out of the Mark bass head and then 1 coming out of the mic there. So this just eliminated that for your sound tech. So all they got to do is plug that one XLR into your DI box or your multi-effects, whatever you're loading these IRs onto, you know, and bam, they got your mic'd up sound and they got your, your direct preamp sound, which will make their life easier, make your life easier. Not only that, but then you can still have that control over how much of the mix you want. Maybe I don't want all of the, excuse me, sorry about that. Maybe I don't want all of the actual cabinet, this is the raw cabinet IR. Right, I want to keep some of my original preamp sound in there because I love the way it sounds coming out the preamp as well. So I'd mix it and then adjust things accordingly. And that way when I go to do my chords or whatever it is I want to do, still keeping all the definition while still keeping access to the bottom of the, verses. Right? Doesn't sound bad. That's how you take your sound to the next level without even ever dragging the cabinet out the house. So running directly to a PA these days is the easiest way for you to go. But I understand why a lot of guys don't like to do that. One, it does put you at the discretion of the audio engineer if you're not using in-ears. I wouldn't recommend this. I would recommend this. I always would recommend this. So anytime your sound is going to the house, the PA, I would suggest you put an IR on it. And so if you want to use your preamp sound, and you want that same preamp sound running to the house and the IR. So what I do is on the Zoom B6, I have, before it goes to the IR, I have it to the send to go out to the amp. So I use all my preamp sounds and compressors on my board so I can change preamps whenever I feel like it. And then I run that to a return of a power amp. So something like the little Mark 3 there, running to the power amp section of that. Before the IR, don't run these IRs to your cabinet. It's gonna make your cabinet sound like junk. Thanks, I appreciate that. Y'all feel free to ask questions too in the super chat, or not just super chat, but you can hit the super chat if you want, or the cash app. But just feel free to ask questions if any of this is, not being explained thoroughly enough to, where you can understand. I want you guys to be able to understand it, so please feel free to ask questions. Plus, it makes the stream go a little faster when I'm not just like talking to a camera, But I appreciate y'all hanging out. Please subscribe, like, and share if this is useful to you. So, then I run the IR to the house, right? So I only run in the IR to the PA system, not the amp. You run it to the amp. It's like putting a cabinet sound to a cabinet sound. It's not going to sound good. It's going to sound really muddy, and it's just going to be weird. Just don't do that. Only run your preamp and your compressor sound. I'm just saying if you like me, you like preamp, compressor. This is the basic tone. Basic tone needs is preamp, compressor, amp. That's basic. Basic. That's all any bass player ever really needs for most gigs, So that's where we talking about in theory. So that sound, we getting that sound to the house, and we're getting the cabinet sound to the house, and we're still getting a nice clean preamp sound going to the cabinet so it can sound how it's supposed to sound. Let me see what we got here. Hey man, whether you play at home or you playing in stadiums, you know this is useful information. Um, and ain't nothing. Hey, everybody start at home. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with coming from the bottom. Now we here. You feel me? I started in the basement. At least you know what I'm saying. Like the basement would used to be cold all the time. You know what I'm saying. Summertime it'd be great because it's like air conditioned. You know, but wintertime it'd be cold down there too. So concrete basement, just practicing my behind off. So don't worry about it if you only playing at home. You can always change that. But at least you're playing. But yeah, it is good for that. So, you know, anytime you have a setup where you needing to run to an amp and a recording situation, that's the route I would go. And like I said, I would just sprinkle in the IR into the house system. You know, I typically like 10%, you know, and 90% preamp. So 90% preamp, 10% IR, and then you get that nice. But other thing I like about having them on here, right? So I'm not showing you guys necessarily that I'm changing them on the B6 through my iPad, and it was just I was trying to go live. It was giving me a hassle, so I couldn't show you guys. I can't show you guys what I wanted to show you, but just trust me, I'm changing them. You'll hear it. You'll hear it as well. So I want to compare that to. Here's some of the. I'm just flip through some of the built-in IRs in the Zoom B6 so you can hear those too. Here we go. I'm just gonna flip through them. So we're gonna start with an SVT with a RE20 and an SM57. See, theirs are a little bit less polished than mine. Mine are a little bit more EQ, the exact way I would like stuff to sound. So there's a little bit flatter, you know, but they still sound great. Right, that was a Fender. I think that was 412s. Here's a SM50, SWR 410s. Trace Elliott, SM57, RE20. What do you recommend recording videos for you? Yeah, the Zoom B6. Yeah, I would recommend the Zoom B6 for sure. You really can't go if you want access to some really good features and things that you like. I just don't have the budget to buy a looper and all this extra stuff, audio interface, you know, and all this extra stuff. Just get a Zoom B6. It's gonna cover all that stuff. If you if you want to run it stereo, you just would get you one of these. Something like this. I don't know if y'all can see that very well, but it's really just a TRS cable. So it'll have so dark over here underneath the camera, but it's got two black rings here, and then that splits the signal into. You just plug it into the headphone out, and you run two separate lines there, left and right, and bam, stereo. Or you can run just a simple XLR to your to a PA system, or if you want to record to your computer, you just run USB from the Zoom B6 directly to your computer, and it'll be your audio interface. But that's what I would recommend for video recording, because you can add. And I would recommend that you grab my IR pack, which we're going through. But we're talking about just how things sound a little bit. You know, how to get to these good sounds, because that's that 212s right there. Right, you see how much more body that is than something like, let me go back up here. Here's a SVT 410s. So that's the stock one on the Zoom. And compare that to Some of mine. I definitely took some time and crafted these for you guys. So you'll be able to throw these on the Zoom B6. You could throw them on the SGT DI. You could throw them on the Tone X1. You don't have to just have them on your computer. You can put them on your computer, run them directly in your software. It'll work in Amplitude and the Tone X1 software as well for your recording needs. If you get a Tone X1, now if you're on a budget, just get a Tone X1, and that can be a really good recording device because it works as a USB audio interface as well. And this little tiny thing got a lot of features though. Like this giant crazy. This little giant crazy. This Tone X1, $179, but it's got you're gonna have your preamps, it's gonna have your IR, it's gonna have a compressor, it's gonna have a noise gate, it's gonna have a reverb, and not only that, but you can go in the software and you can control your mix. You can have your dry mix, have a full rig sound and have your DI sound all mixed like we were just talking about. You can do that in there as well. So, and just take that one little pedal and that'll be your whole recording rig, like in terms of an actual rig. Like these are rigs. Like, as you can see, I got 4 different rigs here. Let me move this out the way. 4 different rigs here. I don't actually need this big. So I got 4 different rigs here. This is a stack. That's a stack. So this is literally how I pretty much use these amps. Or sometimes I'll use them with one cabinet. Like a lot of times I just take that Ampeg right there. But sometimes I don't feel like taking all this stuff. As much as I love the way these cabinets sound, and I love the way every single one of these cabinets sounds. All these are my favorite cabinets. But carrying them, come on now. Oh, you'll have access to my sounds through my Patreon. My Patreon will be up at the end of the week, and I'll do a big announcement of that. So subscribe, like, and share if you're interested in being able to get these IRs, like all my IR pack. I'm going to have all my preamps, all these preamps and stuff you see, all these amps you see. I've created tone models for the Tone X1. So you'll have access to all my preamps, the Gensler, the AG preamp, the WTDI, SGT, the Color Box, the little Mark III, the Gens Band Shuttle 9, TC Electronic BH500, and I'll even do a few of the Phil Jones Double 4. All that's going to be available to you, and all you got to do is get you a Tone X1, and then, when you're ready, you can grab my tone packs for each one, and they pretty much all have all my EQ curves for that stuff as well. Yeah, definitely get the Zoom B6 if you want to something more extensive, than the Tone X1, and you're not trying to buy a whole bunch of rigs. And it allow you a lot of the functionality that everything that the Tone X1 can do, with the exception of modeling your tones. Like it can't model your preamps. You're stuck with the preamps that are in the B6 if you just have a B6. But they are really, and they're digital, but they're really good. As well as you get these DI types over here on the Zoom B6, and like the Tube 1 is a Noble preamp. Tube 2 is a Ready DI. Solid State 1, I believe, is a Neve console. And Solid State 2, I believe, is a Neve DI box, the Neve DI box. So you get all of that, plus you got IR loader on here. You got a 2-hour looper if you add an SD card. Exceptional quality with the effects. It's double the quality of the multi-stomps. So much more clarity, much more of an open, realistic sound when it comes to the amp models. I've done plenty of gigs where the Zoom B6 has been flat on. Yeah, the IRs will be available for any device that allows you low IR. So the IRs, the cabinet stuff we've been talking about today with the Audix D6, I also use a RE320, which I'm talking to you through, which is why it's not mic'd on the cabinet. But and an SM57 as well as a few other condenser mics I have around. All that stuff is going to be in packs. So each cabinet is going to be a pack, and you'll be able to get them at a reasonable price. Will not be hiking price to where you guys can't get it. I just ask that, if you like it, let me know after you grab it. If you like it, let me know that you like it, so I can know which direction to go in terms of creating more and things like that. But yeah, now in terms of preamps, you got to get all that stuff on the Tone X1, because the Tone X1 allows me to model my preamps, and it's pretty much exactly duplicated to the point where I'm just taking the Tone X1 to most gigs and flipping through my preamp settings on there, so I don't have to carry around, like, even though these pedals are smaller than a bass head, I can carry all of these and all my bass heads all at once, which is just bananas. Something that, and not only just carry the exact, they don't have these on most amps. They don't have a BA head. They don't have the Mark Bass little Mark III. They got some other thing. They don't have a TC Electronic BH500. That's before they got bought out and the whole sound of the amps changed. This is like original TC Electronic bass amp sound. Like, it's one of their first amps. So, all that stuff's going to be available. And like, I guess moving into the virtual rig side of things, the IRs are super important for your sound to translate without an amp. I've been trying to be a little lazy. I'm working at a new church now, so I've been just taking this little smaller board, but when I run this board, I don't run my IRs from my Tone X1, right? I just run the preamps because I got to run into a bass amp. So now, last Sunday, I took my Zoom B6 in addition to this board so I could run my IRs and stuff. And when I say the sound is night and day, like the entire sound, if it fills out so much more of the room with the IRs on. So we hadn't talked about, let me flip through a few of them and see if you can hear the difference. Like, I'm just going to flip through the IRs, different settings, different mic positions, different actual mics. And I'm actually going to flip through a few cabinets as well. But I'll let you know when I switch cabinets. But I'm going to give you 3 different mics real quick. I'm going to give you what the cabinet sounds like with a D6, an RE320, which is this mic, and an SM57. So you can just hear that all these mics make a huge difference in the sound. My favorite amp in the collection is, you put me in a position. They're right here. You're just going to ask me that in front of them right here? Like, they got feelings too, man. It's like, nah, but I love them all so much. Like, I can't really say that. Now, in terms of gigging, I've done more gigs with the Ampeg BA210V2 than any other amp in here. And I've actually done quite a few gigs with that 4 over there, that Phil Jones one on top, that little small cabinet, 2 4-inch speaker. I've done a few gigs with that joint. Fire. Let's see. Yeah, it is a Audix D6 again on the cabinet, and it's an SM57. But we're going to flip through the IRs real quick because I don't want y'all to get impatient with me. But subscribe, like, and share. I appreciate y'all. Hit that Cash App and Super Chat if this useful to you. Now I'm gonna shift these all the way back to 100%, 100% the IR sound. So it's not. I'm gonna take all the preamp sound out of it, so you can hear just the IRs. And again, that was the D6 first, then the RE320, and then the SM57. Oh yeah, that's a heck of a rig. I might have to find me some of the older 212, TC Electronic 212. I need to find me a cabinet. I'm gonna do that again, but just all IR. So yeah, that's the Jens Benz 212 right there. Mind you, that's one of the earlier Jens Benz cabinets. You know, they're not making them like that no more. But that thing actually is super light. It's like 40 pounds, and it kicks out a ton of sound. But yeah, that was that cabinet. The IRs for that ran the Audix D6, the RE320, and the SM57, and I ran all those through the Color Box JHS Color Box V2. I don't know why I can't say JHS, but and I had those EQ up there, and good amount of saturation on it. That's why they sound a little bit fatter than, say, the actual cabinet. This is the actual cabinet again with this the SM57. D6. All right, so it allows so much flexibility just having these IRs. Like I had to set those mics up. I had to have those mics. I have to have the cabinet. I have to have the color box. When you start adding all this stuff, that's a pricey sound, right? Just the cabinet, the mics, the color box, mic preamp. That stuff starts to add up. Versus just buying my IR pack. Got a shameless plug. I'm trying to tell you, I ain't got no shame with it. I'm trying to make it, feel me? But yeah, it makes more economical sense if you're gonna get something like a B6. You can just spend another $20-$30 getting different IR packs, because they're not gonna be like outrageous. Like I feel like some of these companies they going crazy with these IR packs or just packs in general. Everything loop packs, this pack, that pack, $900. Like nobody got time for that, dog. Like give me something. It's not that difficult, but it does take some time. So you do want to be compensated for your time. But I'm not price gouging you guys because you guys are my loyal fans and I appreciate it. But again, an IR, just for those just joining us, an IR is just the sound of. So we're dealing with this Jens Benz 212s right here, right? So it's just the sound. I got that big couch and I got that big black cover. Just is also sound treatment for the room. It's a whole sound blanket behind it as well. But then I have sound treatment on the walls and in the corners and different things like that. So, and I have this carpet, and this room sounds really good for recording. Just trust me. And so these cabinets, I wanted to take that sound and put it out when I go out. So this is the way that sounds in this room through those mics, through this color box V2. Period. So it's not just capturing, like, it's, you get those cabinet simulations that just it's like an approximation of what it sounds like. This is an actual reading of what it sounds like in this room, mic'd up exactly in whatever position it was mic'd up in, running through the exact EQ curves and everything else. The saturation is even in there, so you get some of this I think it's called spatial, whatever they want to call it. Whatever reverb, you get like a little bit of reverb and everything in there of the room, and the sound of it. And now, for me, the way I have mine set is so I don't like mine to sound too close like this. Like that's my main issue with in-ears and running direct is the sound. It doesn't sound how it sounds in a room. This allows it to sound the way it sounds in a room and give you direct signal. So that was the Audix D6 IR right here. RE320. Still sounds like the same cabinet, just different mic. NX2, same SM57. Mind you, in the pack, it will be different variations of these. So it's not going to be just one D6 joint in there. It's going to be that D6 in 4 different positions on each of these speakers. So, because the top speaker sounds different than the bottom speaker. Bottom speaker is going to have more bottom because it's closer to the floor and it's reflecting bass off back up into the mic. The upper speaker is going to have give you more of a mid-range sound. Still got plenty of bottom, but it's going to give you more of a focused sound because it's not reflecting as much bass off of the floor. And it's closer to the tweeter. So all that affects the sound of the IR itself. So when I was making these, the reason it took me so long, because I probably threw away about 300 IRs that I made. So, I actually did the collection twice, the entire collection twice, and threw it away because it wasn't good enough. It didn't like, I wanted, when you turn it on, I want it to sound good immediately and not you have to fiddle with a bunch of stuff. I want you to be able to throw it on whatever, and it just sounds good. So let me see what we got here. Yeah, that D6 is a very underrated mic. It sounds amazing on kick drums, bass stuff, and floor toms as well. So that's something else you can use it for. Floor toms, it sounds amazing. But the SM57 is another very versatile mic. You can use that anywhere. If you do want to happen to get some mics or something, these are great choices for your cabinets in general. Recording wise, D6, SM57, RE320. I even like the MXL 990, which is a condenser mic, and those are pretty cheap. Those are like $100, but they sound great on a cabinet, surprisingly. So let's go through some more. So that's enough of this 212s. Let's see what this Gallien-Kruger sounds like as a IR. I love this Gallien-Kruger 115, by the way. This is the 3rd generation Neo, I think. D6. So but yeah, it's a ton of different stuff, man, that you could use. A ton of different options, but like I said, this will make your life easier. You ain't gotta actually buy all this stuff or just to get access to these different sounds. That's what the IR packs are for. You know what I'm saying? I already had this is years of me just collecting cabinets or amps throughout the years, and these just happen to be my favorite ones that I kept. If you go through some of my videos, you'll see I've reviewed quite a few different bass amp heads. Some of them make the cut. The majority of them don't. But the ones that do, I keep. Cabinets. I don't know. I haven't started reviewing cabinets. Cabinets are expensive. they expensive. They're low out of my budget right now. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, our packs and things like that, they're gonna be right in your budget. You feel me? So you ain't got to worry about it. But that's the Gallien-Kruger with the D6 on it. So I use the D6 when I want that heavier bass sound. Like all that bottom. And you mix that, boy, man, you mix that thing, and it's a wraps. That's with only 9%. Here's without it. That's cool. You throw this thing on, it's a monstrosity. And the thing I love about them is it's got so much bottom, but it's still so much clarity in there. Like even when I hit it, it doesn't like, because the amp sound, the cabinet sound is so big and heavy, and it's only 10% of what's going on there. With the preamp sounding already good, the preamp already sounds nice and tight with the compressor. That's a nice. I recommend, if you got the budget, analog compressor, analog preamp running into an IR. That's going to give you the most authentic, warmest bass sound that you can get. It don't have to be tube, you know what I'm saying? But it's got to be analog for the preamps and the compressor if you want the highest sound. Now, one thing I do love about the Tone X1 is it's exact. It's like that's the only digital modeling one I'm vouching for. That I would be like, yeah, if you once I put my packs out, because the packs that are a lot of the presets that are out for the Tone X1 on the Tone Net, which is the free part of it, they sound okay, but they're not EQ like for a normal person just to be able to plug in and play. They're very like player. They sound like they were made for specific players. All mine are very much universal. You can pretty much just plug into my stuff, and I'm not even doing much tone shaping on my bass. So you pretty much can just plug into my stuff, and it's gonna sound how you're hearing it. Because I don't do a lot of tone shaping from my bass. I do change like the mid frequencies and. I might boost it or drop it out, but that's about it. I don't boost the bass a whole lot from my bass, and I don't even boost the highs, believe it or not, like at all. My highs are almost always flat or rolled off. It's just a super bright bass. Like these strings aren't even nowhere near new. But when you run that with the IR, now tell me you can't feel that. And it got that warm feeling to it and a lot of that texture, that extra texture that you're getting is from the color box. it's from the color box. The extra texture that over that D, like even when you were hearing it before, a lot of that texture is the D6 doing a lot of that. I mean, not the D6. The D6 running into the color box. D6 sounds good by itself, but a lot of this saturation and like a lot of the clarity and stuff is happening from here. So not only I'm actually using double preamps. I'm using a preamp on the mic itself, and I'm using like the SGT and the Empress. You know, they both have their own particular sound as well. So it allows me to like merge all that together. And mind you, I can just take this IR, load it onto a preset with that SGT. So I can take this SGT pretty much. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. Let me see if I get an SGT. Yeah. So that's the SGT on there. So I'm gonna run the preamp from the Tone X1 and run the compressor, and then that's gonna run into the GK 115 with the D6. But I could have this D6, that cabinet on the Tone X with this particular preamp, because you can mix and match it. So once you get the packs, once you get the preamp packs, and then you get the IR packs, you can now mix and match them. You whatever preamps and different, because I got all my EQ curves for all my preamps, and then I have all the IRs, and you can mix and match them into whatever you would like them to be. Isn't that great? I thought about you guys. I was like, let me give them something they can be versatile with, and then just stuck with one thing. But yeah, so that's the Tone X1, the Empress running into the GK 115 D6 mic. But as you can see, you can really start producing some really, really good tone on that. You know, it doesn't have to be as complicated as you think it is. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it is just choosing the right pieces to put in there. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, that's literally just I took pretty much a snapshot of this EQ on this SGT, and they call it a tone model. I put that on here. I ran that to a compressor, whatever compressor of your choice. Then you run that to, if you got a B6, you know, you can run that to B6, pull up the IR or an HX stomp, or if you just got an SGT pedal, you have all this stuff all in one box. That's also an option, you know. But, you know, if you run it, whatever IR loader you got, run that to there, blend it, and then you can EQ it again if you need to. I doubt it. By then, everything should be sounding similar to how it would sound in the room for you. So that should automatically be able, even without a butt kicker and all this extra fancy devices, it should give you the impression of I'm playing through an amp. I'm playing through an actual rig. Y'all let me know in the comments if that sounds like a real rig to y'all, or if that sounds, am I lunching? This is direct. Here's with it. Mind you, that's only 10% of it. If I put it on 100%, put it on a hundo for y'all. Tell me that don't sound like a bass rig. And it don't sound like it's smushing your ears, like it's, right up on you. It sounds like you're in a room, like you have the headphones off and you're listening to the amp in a room. And that's pretty much what I go for. I want the doggone thing to sound like how it's supposed to sound. Like, you feel me? Like, I hate that, I have sound engineers and stuff that be on me. Just run to this DI box first and do it. I'm not doing none of that. Listen, you run out my B6 so I can run my IRs and I can split it up the way I want it to sound. I'm not too particularly pressed about how you want it to sound because you're not the one that's performing and you're not the one whose name go on this sucker. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? When you on stage, they be trying to tell you how you want to sound. Listen, I know how I'm trying to sound, bro. Relax over there. You just work with the sound I'm giving you. Stop playing with me. But yeah, like I said, I recommend around 10%. Let's boost it up to 30%. Here's 30% of the IR and 70% of the preamp. Ooh, that's so heavy already. And if that's too much bottom for you, of course you can just pull some of the bottom out. If I want to pull out some more bottom, ooh. I like the 10% more. And you can invert these, and that's the other little key to these too. If you got a good IR loaded, it's gonna allow you to invert the sound. Oh, I appreciate you, Jay. My man Jay sent 5. I appreciate you. Oh, I shouldn't say, man. I'm not sure. I believe I'm not sure, but I appreciate you. I don't know why I just assumed. I mean, that's just because they say little analytics, like they try to say don't know women be watching this channel, but it is some girl bass players because I know a few of them and they definitely comment and I appreciate y'all. Okay, cool. You ain't gonna get me canceled in here. You know what I'm saying? You know how today you'll be off the internet before you get started. You feel me? But I appreciate you. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you. Every little bit for me helps. I don't. Hey, that's your hard-earned money, and I appreciate it. So let's change the IR. So let's go to Gallion Kruger RE320 instead of the D6 and watch the sound difference. And let me change this. Yeah, that's cool. And as you can see, this is actually the RE320 is maybe like my favorite mic. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, it's a nice sound to it. It doesn't add as much bottom as the D6, but it definitely adds a nice mid range to the sound. It gives you plenty of bottom. Like, that's plenty of bottom. If you need a little boost, like my bass is pretty much flat right now. If I need to boost a little bit on my bass, that's plenty of bottom while still having a decent amount of Let me see. Let me add some top end. One thing I do love about the Zoom joint, the IR loader, is you have a low, a high EQ. Like it's just a pretty much two thing EQ, lows and highs. You can boost the highs a little bit or boost and cut the lows as well. And then you got a balance and a volume. So, gives you plenty of flexibility with just those options there. So let's go down to 10%. The RE320. And when you decrease the balance like that, you'll need to boost the volume up. So when I go down to 10% on the balance, I go up to like negative 3.1 with the volume. And also when I want a little bit of highs, I probably put it around 60. With the Zoom built-in IRs, I actually have to boost a lot more with the lows and the highs. That's another reason why I know my IRs, they sound thunderous, but that's because I don't want you to have to do too much EQ, and I had to do a lot to get those Zoom ones to sound the way I like them to sound. But they are good though. Don't sleep on them. They're very good for what they are. Here's the RE320. See, it's nice and balanced. Like it actually, coming from the D6, it sounds like it's like weaker because that D6 has got so much bottom to it. Both of these settings, there's two different D6 settings. So that's the second one, and here's the first one. So both of those are just like bass bottom monsters. Like you could just that 10% is gonna affect it differently using these ones versus when you use the RE20 and do it. Here's without any of them. RE20. RE320, excuse me. So it just adds like a good amount of character to the joint. Just adding it in there without like adding too much bottom. Like if you're in a situation where you don't want to, where say the room is really boomy. And that's the other reason why I like these three mics in particular. Like from heaviest to lightest would be D6, RE320, and then the lightest would be the SM57. So depending on which room you're in, you can switch mics and have the same cabinet sound. It's another way I use them. And if the room is really boomy, I'll switch to an SM57. If it's like a really light room and it's not, I'm not feeling supported, I'll switch to the D6. And if I'm in between those two feelings, I'll go with an RE320. You feel me? So like that's where the IRs come in handy. Like they shape your sound like but it's like you can have the cabinet in a room and have it shaped the way you want it to be shaped without dealing with that room, for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Because if you got it mic'd up in the room, then you got to deal with the room. You know, using the IRs, it eliminates all of that. It almost eliminates with the, you know, it mitigates even having a bad sound tech, I would say. You know, a bad sound tech is going to be trying to mix your stuff all wrong, and he might mix heavier on the speaker side than the actual DI side. And you may be like myself, where you like, I love the DI sound. I just want the heaviness of the cabinet in there too. You feel me? So it's like, don't put all my sound in the cabinet side and then a little bit of DI, because I don't like that. Like, it don't have enough clarity for me. But if you put it mostly DI and a little sprinkle of cabinet, that's what usually gets me my sound. And I think most sound engineers know that already, like, for just as a general rule. But and you get some people that have never experienced it. I get some people that don't like me to run stereo bass or don't want me to do this type of bass. That, you know, this. You run into a lot of different stuff. But these IRs help mitigate that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be in a situation where, you know, and different cabinets sound better in different rooms. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, sometimes I've bought the wrong cabinet for the wrong room. I'm sure everybody's been in that situation. You know, you just kind of bought the wrong cabinet to the gig. It's like, dang, I wish I could switch this joint out for my other joint at home. But now you can have them all on your on your units, and you can keep your preamp the same. Like, I haven't changed that preamp. It's been the same, and I'm just changing IRs. Here's the SM57 on the GK 115. Let me mute this mic. So that was me just flipping back and forth between the three different mics. And you can see how big of a difference it is, like, just switching microphones. Like, we didn't switch cabinets. I didn't switch the position of them. Those are the different mics in the same exact position on the speaker, the same as distance and everything. The cabinet in the same exact position in the room, all that good stuff. So all the variations are the same with those. Even the EQ on the color box was the same. I literally just plugged in a different mic and went from there. You know what I'm saying? And then created each one. So now that's the GK amp, you know. And mind you, I actually have, I think it's about 150, 200 something of these per cabinet. Like that'll be in each pack. It's gonna be a lot of these joints in the pack. These are just my favorites, you know. And I'll make some more extensive videos about this stuff as well. But what else we got here? That Fender 115 right there, the Fender Bassman Neo 115 with a RE320 running through a JHS color box. No. Yeah, these were no color box. Yep. These ones, so Fender ones, I still have to go back and do with the color box, but this is a RE320 on the Fender in the center of the speaker with no color box on it, V2. All right. So that's that Fender 115 Bassman Neo, which is actually one of my, you talking about one of my favorite sounds. That joint with the Aguilar head. Let me see, son. Let me take this off of here real quick. AG preamp running into that 115 Bassman Neo cabinet. It's fire. Mind you, these are the IRs. Like, you're looking at the cabinets, but these are the IRs of the cabinets. Pretty much, it's the way they sound. If you're just joining us, it's the way these cabinets sound coming through these mics and whatever preamp in this room. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit of all that mixed together, and that's what an IR pretty much is. So it's it allows you to get those type of sounds without ever having to mic up a cabinet, without ever having to, or at least more than once. You know, the cabinet had to be mic'd up, but it realistically allows you to have access to cabinets and mics that you just may not be able to afford. Or, you know, it took me a long time to accumulate even these cabinets and things like that. They're not cheap and they're not free. So, you know, everybody don't have $1 million to buy cabinets, but you might want to have access to these sounds, whether it be for your headphone practice or for your gigs. If if you're working at a church or you're streaming online, these IRs work great for streaming online because you don't have to worry about the mic in the room. Like, so your talkback mic won't get, you know, all this pick up all the stuff from the cabinets you're playing in the room. In a recording situation, allows you to duplicate that sound more than once, like with that same mic and exact mic placement, which is very difficult to do. One thing studio engineers hate is when you come in a room and you move their mic, they be so hot. And I understand why, because it takes a long time to position a microphone to get it to sound the exact way you want it to sound. So, don't underestimate when you the amount of work it takes to mic up a cabinet properly, and the amount of experimentation, the time, and then you got to worry about getting all this noise from different places. Dealing with if you got drums playing in the room and all this other stuff. Like as you guys can see, I don't have the absolute biggest room here, but it's a really functioning studio, partly because I can do things like use IRs, and the drums can play freely. I don't have to worry about getting all this bleed from the drum cymbals and the kick drum interfering with the bass cabinet mics. I've created my IRs, and I have these packs, and now I can just mix in the IR in there and get the same exact results that I would have gotten if I mic'd up a cabinet. Nobody's, in my opinion, sometimes the IRs, because they're perfected, like I said, I took about 3 or 4 times of recording an entire set of these to get it out. You don't, then it changes everything, because now, not only do I have that one IR, I got all my mics. So the IR, just another thing I love about them, it allows me to have all of the mic sounds, all of these cabinets. And if you got something like the Tonex One, in addition to the IRs, it allows you to have all of your preamps. So now on 1 gig, you have a room full of amps and preamps. That's crazy. Like 20 years ago, that would be unheard of. Like that would be that was somebody's dream back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So, and we just have it readily available to us. Not even getting into the thousands of dollars. You talking about taking a Tonex One and a Zoom B6, and you're still at the price of what, a HX Stomp? Like what? And you mean to tell me you're gonna have the actual preamp sounds, different preamp sounds, unlimited preamp sounds? You can always go and download more and things like that, or buy more, or make more. It's just ridiculous. And you get access to all the cabinets that you can get your hands on. That's the, and this is, mind you, I have more cabinets than this on available to me as well. So what I got there, I think I have actually 8 different cabinets, IRs, packs put together so far. So it's not just these cabinets you see. It's another 212 Bergentino 212 HD 212, I believe it is, and another Ampeg 210 cabinet, the PB, the little portable joint, 210, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it so far. But I may contact some of my friends. Depends on how these go and how you guys support this. I did got the joints of the Ampeg BA 210 too. All that. Those TC Electronic 410s back there, got them in there. I got one of the double 4, but y'all let me know if that, would y'all even be interested in a double 4 IR, Phil Jones double 4? That amp sounds amazing for a practice amp, by the way. If you need a serious practice amp that can be used for small jazz gig club like type venues, like 50, 60 people venues, that little joint, put that joint in the corner, that little sucker light up a room. But they on the pricier side. But when it's 8 pounds and you carrying it all the time, you be like, oh, if you do music lessons, those are amazing. You can always carry your amp with you and never have to worry about lugging around a big giant amp just to go teach a lesson or take a lesson. So, but all right, so let's get back on track. All right, so that's the Fender, and mind you, like, let me just flip through these real quick. So these are all. That's the RE20 on the tweeter, RE320. What preamp I got on? Let's go Jens Benz real quick. Gensler Magellan. Yep. All those are literally RE320 IRs of that Fender 115, Fender Bassman Neo 115 back there. All of those, same mic, different positioning on different places in the cabinet. Some of those were on the speaker, some of those were on the cabinet. The really thin ones were on the, on the tweeter. The really thin ones are on the tweeter, to mix in and get more of that high end sound of the cabinet, the actual sound of the tweeter, because the cabinet sounds different without the tweeter. But yeah, so you can mix and match those. If you got like a dual IR loader, you can load. I did that so you can load the speaker ones and you can load the tweeter ones, and then you can mix however you want to mix and match that together. But you have access to both of those, the actual tweeter from the cabinet too. That's one of my beasts with the Ampeg SGT when it. That's one of my beasts with the Jane, the built-in IRs. I don't want just my dry signal. I would like to be able to blend the preamp and IR together, and they don't allow you to do that. And I would also like them to have mic'd up the tweeters as well, because they didn't mic up the tweeters, so it's like all the IRs are this darker sound, and I can't get any of my higher, my higher frequencies to come through because they don't even allow you to blend the two sounds. So if they could make that an update in the Ampeg software, that would be great, Ampeg, if you happen to be listening. But yeah, that's an important part of it, that tweeter sound of the cabinet, for me at least. Some people play without the tweeter. I'm not one of them. Look at that SM57 coming through like a boss. I like the way that SM57 sound on that joint. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, and share. I definitely appreciate y'all hanging out with me too. But I love that. And hit that Cash App super chat if you feel up to it. If this is useful to you, I appreciate you a lot. Every dollar count. I appreciate it. Thank you. But that was the SM57 on there. But I'll give you a few different examples of the SM57. And the reason I'm doing this part here is so you can understand the difference between mic position. So you might hear a mic on a drum, on a drum or anything, or on a cabinet, and not like the sound of it, and you think that's just it. It's not just it. It might be how it's placed. So it's something if you buy the IR pack, you never have to fool with any of this stuff. You don't have to buy nothing. You don't have to spend the hours learning how to mic up a cabinet or getting your room to sound dialed in like this room does, or whatever the case. So here we go. We're going to run through a few different SM57s on that same Fender 115 Bassman Neo. Look at that. We're not going through all these cabinets. Y'all ain't going to have me here all day. Plus, I'm going to do another video of these, and, we'll go through that. But Here, let's go through these SM57s on the Fender Bassman Neo 115. That's that tweeter. But yeah, so those are actually different SM57 placements on the cabinet. So depending on where some, as you can see, some of those had more bottom, some of those had more mid range, some of those was just no bottom and no mid range, just literally all the high frequencies, like just the higher frequencies, and that's it. So mic placement and understanding how to get that sound that you want takes a lot of experimentation, a lot of hours. It took me, like I said, it took me recording almost all of these cabinets multiple times, like 2 or 3 times, like whole collections, deleting the whole collection, redoing it again, thought I had it down, deleted it again, just wasn't good enough, did it all over again. It's been multiple times to get it to sound the way I wanted them to sound. So we didn't even get to all the variations of stuff. Like, you still got the 410s back there. That's the D6 on them 410s, on that TC Electronic 410s back there. And I could kick on, what we got on the Gensler Magellan. Let's turn on the TC Electronic from that my tone model of the BH 500 head. We're going to turn that on the Tonex. Here's what it sounds like without the IR. With the IR. And yeah, I do have the tube drive on that setting there, so it has a little bit of a overdrive, a little bit of fuzz on it. Love it. Just different D6 settings. With 4 speakers, you got even more options because, like I said, mic placement is super crucial. See, those are placed very similarly, just same distance, just different part of the speaker. So it really just depends with something like that, um, what your preference might be. You know, it's not a. it definitely you still this way. One thing I will say about buying an IR pack that'll save you some time is, or it's going to allow you to play more and less experimenting. Like, it was mad frustrating doing this joint, like doing these IRs. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's because it's you want to play, like you want to play through them, like soon as you make them. But I have to make so many of them to get all the different characteristics I can out of the speaker and the mic to make these packs. It was just like it's time consuming. It's not difficult. It's time consuming though. Very time consuming. It's quite a few hours of me getting these IRs for you guys. So please, subscribe, like, and share. And if you, that way because I'm releasing these towards the end of this week, these going to be ready to go. Right? So you're going to have access to all of these drinks. And then I'm be doing some more. I'm be doing more cabinets. I'll probably be borrowing some from friends of mine that have some really nice bass cabinets, and even more preamps. I don't have every preamp in the world in here. I just have a few of them. So all this stuff is going to be available, and not all of it, but these are going to be these cabinets and stuff, IRs, mics, all this stuff is going to be available towards the end of the week, starting towards the end of the week rather. So far in the packs, we have 11 preamps, and we have 8 different bass cabinets, and we have 6 different microphones. So all that stuff together is going to create different, tonality, different things. It's going to give you options without having to sit here and get up and move a mic and do this and do that and wonder if you're going to be able to get the same sound you're going to get today, tomorrow. That's the other thing. If you're touring or you're going to be going from venue to venue, these IRs will make your experience much more uniform, much more from night to night. I know what my digital rig is going to do and sound like compared to if you had to take these actual cabinets with you and mic them in different venues. They're going to sound different in every single venue. The packs, let me see, where's my little book at? Let me grab my book. Our packs are not going to be expensive. None of this stuff is going to be expensive. Not compared to what it cost me to obtain it. Think about how much one of these, let's say, like that Fender cabinet right there. And I recommend checking out used cabinets when you get a chance, but, that Fender cabinet, brand new, probably about $800-900. That Jens Benn cabinet was, when it was brand new, it was probably about $15. the TC Electronic stuff, that was their attempt to get into um, the I guess the I want to say beginner. That's not really a beginner size rig. I would say that's their attempt at having a budget friendly rig, the TC Electronic, before they got bought out. Um, so it's pretty much sounds like the RS series. It's just heavier. Like that head is 30 pounds. The cabinet though is only like 50 pounds. So the 410s is only like 50 pounds. It's not heavy at all. But let me see. Back to your actual question, because that's not your question. But all right. So see what I got here. Well, did I price out the IRs yet? I have not priced out the IRs yet. Okay. I gotta do that. But the Zoom pack, so just in case you're interested, the packs are going to typically for the Zoom stuff. So the MS60B, MS70B, the Zoom B6, those packs are going to be 15, and they're going to include 20 presets. They're going to be $15. Right? So if you got a Zoom MS60B Plus, you'll be able to get all of my presets, 20 of my presets. I'll probably do another pack of 20. But that's 15. That gets you up and rolling. Ampeg SGT pack for the Tone X1 is going to be $15. And the Gensler Magellan, I'm only doing 3. So the Ampeg SGT pack is only 6. That's 15. But the Magellan is only 3, and that's $7.50. So I got them about $2.50 for each preamp preset. So it depends on how many presets are in the pack. I'm only going to be running you $2.50 for the joint at the moment till I, see a need to do otherwise. So I tried to make these super reasonable for you guys. Like when I say I'm not trying to price gouge you at all. Like the color box, if you got a Tone X1 and you want the color box settings, my 4 color box settings I use, that's only $10. That's only $10. And you can buy as many of these or as few of these as you want. You don't have to, I'm not lumping them all together, so it ain't like you got to get a whole, some of the other companies, they make you literally buy the whole gambit of whatever pack they want, and they run you $100 and something for it. No, I decided to do more of an a la carte approach, and just have a set number for each preset so far, and I'll go from there. But I want as many of you guys to have these, as possible, to help you guys out. So there's no point in charging $200 for something that I can, get to you guys at a reasonable price, and hopefully you guys can get more of them, have access to more, and hopefully you guys are in turn appreciate it, But yeah, so that's what we're looking at with those. But the IRs I haven't priced out yet because there's so many in one pack. It can be like anywhere from 100 to 200 IRs per pack. So I got to price that out because those have to be different prices than these presets. Preamps aren't cheap either. So, I got to run you something for them. But I just thought, I know that's a really low price compared to some other people's packs, but they're no less quality, as you can hear. You're sitting here listening to them now, you know what I'm saying? So, you can go back in the video if you would like. But that's what I'm looking at for the presets and stuff like that for the Tone X1. And that's the Tone X1 presets only. I'm running $250 each for those, but you got to buy them in a pack of you got to buy the whole Ampeg SGT pack, and that's 6 of them. So that's going to be 15. You see me? So yeah, I appreciate that. I try to keep them. So because the whole point of buying something like a Tone X1 is not to spend $1 million. Like otherwise, you be, You get the gear snobs that only like something it's got to be $1,000 or more for me to like it. No, Slim, like what? Listen, good tone shouldn't cost that much. Like, I mean, at the same time, I understand it because my these cabinets aren't cheap. These cabinets ain't cheap. These preamps ain't cheap. I mostly buy my preamps brand new, so I would say, man, just whatever y'all do, just check them out. I would love to hear some of you guys playing examples of them and reviews of them. Maybe some of you guys want to do some reviews of them, and hopefully, you'll like them. But let's go back because I want to do some quick comparisons. So, just so you guys can have a comparison between like something like the stock B6 IRs, because IRs are not all created equal. So don't think you're getting them just because they got the same amp or the same cabinet. Everybody's IRs sound different for some reason. Like Ampex joints on there, on that SGT sounded different than the ones in the Amplitude software. You know what I'm saying? Like, and mind you, when you get a Tone X1, you also get Amplitude. Let's clap it up for them for that. Oh, that's beautiful. You get two pieces of software, two useful pieces of software. You get the Tone X1 software and the Amplitude software. You get the SE version, but those are really good versions. Like, they're going to give you plenty of flexibility, and they give you some effects in the Amplitude. So technically, when you get a Tone X1, you're getting recording software and effects as well. So that's amazing. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on the Tone X1, and it's totally worth it. Unlimited preamps. You get two pieces of software. It's a little mini multi-effects unit. But yeah, let's keep going. Because I don't work for them. I'm not selling these products. I don't, you know what? I need to link this to my Amazon and Sweetwater affiliate links. I keep forgetting to do that. But I'm just getting into the YouTube game, guys. So a lot of little stuff I'm still getting together, like having all my affiliate links and everything already together. So, but we almost there. Patreon's almost set up. You guys, I'm going to have access to lessons. My video course, I'm going to film as well. I know it's a little bit off topic, but I got to do my quick commercial. I've been in here for 2 hours. Come on. But I got a improvisation course specially designed for anybody that is having trouble learning improvisation, being able to solo. And I also I'm going to have a bass technique course where I go over different techniques, finger style, how to properly do that, double thumb, incorporating other fingers into that, and harmonics, false, everything, just everything you would need to play bass, in today's modern society. I definitely will be going over the techniques to do that. So those are the two courses I'm starting with, but I'll also be offering for a certain price Zoom personal lessons. So, and those will only be a certain amount of slots because I got other things to do, but it'll be first come, first serve type thing. So you guys are getting like an exclusive, and you'll have a chance to get all this stuff before everybody else, to be honest, and probably at the best price because, of course, everything started at one price. The price today might not be the price tomorrow, you type feel. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, so those are all the things I got coming up for you guys, besides these IR packs and the Tone X1 packs. I'm also going to be making sure that you guys have access to actually grow on the instrument, not just tonally, but technically and then mentally, because the improvisation stuff is more mental than physical. You need to know certain things. You need to know how things work in order to properly achieve these said solos that you would like to do. Because I want your favorite bass player to be you in the future. My favorite bass player is me in the future. I don't have a favorite. Don't ask me who my favorite bass player is, because it's me. Okay? I don't play that. I ain't worked this hard to give it away to somebody else. But I also want you to have that same mindset and get to that next level where you in the future will play everything you want to hear a bass player play. And I want to help you get there. Everybody always wants you to be a fan, but they don't ever want to help you get to where you could, even potentially be a colleague. They don't even, don't get me started on folks out here giving the vague advice, but but I'm gonna actually help you guys because that's what my other thing I do. I'm a teacher. I have students that have gone to completely amazing schools. I went to Berkeley College of Music myself on a full ride. So definitely stay tuned, subscribe, like, and share for all that stuff. As well as I'll be back this evening, okay? I'm going to get up out of here because we've been on for 2 hours. But I'm going to be back this evening. I'll probably do 2 or 3 hours then too, and on a different subject. I'm not going to kill y'all with the hours twice in one day. We'll come back to this towards the end of the week once it's begin to launch. But I just wanted to give you guys a head up on what even the IR was. I wasn't even sure if most, just most bass players even understood the concept of an IR. What is an impulse response? You hear that all the time. Oh, we got multi-layer impulse responses. We got this, and we got, you hear all this stuff. But have a good one. Thank you for hanging with me, and thank you for the little tip, man. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Yeah, return that joint, bro. Listen, these companies make plenty of money, man. Return that thing, man. If it ain't right and you pay full price for it, send it back. If it ain't right, if it's broke, if the knob ain't there, if the paint scratched, it's going back if I paid full price. Or somebody sending me some money back or something. Yeah, don't let them just whatever. No, man, nah. You ain't broke, bro. You making enough to send me anything, and that I appreciate. It's your hard-earned money, man. Money ain't easy to come by out here. People talk junk all day, but it's some of us actually got to get out here and get it. You know what I'm saying? To get where we trying to go. Some people getting it handed, but if it's handed to you, it can be taken away. So don't underestimate your grind, brother. Y'all take care, man. I'm going to get up off here too. But I definitely appreciate all y'all hanging out with me. If you would like, hit the Cash App or Super Thanks, Super Chat. If you want to follow me on social media at the Bass Niggas. If you want to check out my music, allbasscreations.bandcamp. You can hear all these effects and stuff on my albums and on my singles and things like that. But other than that, I am the Bass Niggas, and this has been another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review, and I'll catch you later on tonight.